wanted to talk about something today that has been just like this reoccurring theme in my life, especially with starting cognitive behavioral therapy earlier in the year. And it's really just like this concept that we get to have the experience we choose. And I know that for a lot of people, like including myself, it has felt for most of my life that I'm not in control of my emotions, that they just come and I'm kind of like at their whim. But we really do get to choose our thoughts when we practice like mindfulness and self-awareness in the moment. And so I wanted to give like a little example of just how a small mindset shift can really change like a huge aspect of your life with something that's happened for me personally. And so recently one night I was doing the dishes. I was putting away the clean ones, and I had to put the dirty ones in the dishwasher, right? And I have hated doing dishes most of my adult life. I do have a lot of like childhood trauma too around doing the dishes. It was something I remember. It's a very core memory for me, trying for the first time to help my mom with the dishes and just like being screamed at, berated, and like told how terrible I am, how I can't even do dishes. And like after that, I really wasn't like allowed or encouraged to help with dishes, or I would be told to do dishes and then I would be yelled at because they weren't done right. And so like I never really was taught, and I know dishes are pretty straightforward. I get it. As an adult, it's been easy to figure out, and there's been tips, tricks, and hacks that I've found along the way. But I still really just hated doing dishes. It was something like I felt like I had to do, like I felt forced to do. And I mean, obviously, I would always feel better after they were done because like my sink is clean and all that stuff. But so I was putting away dishes and I was just like, oh, I don't want to do this. And I kind of like had this thought. I was like, well, this isn't like the life I really want, is it? To like, dishes are something I'm gonna have to do every day. Do I really want to hate doing the dish? Do I want to be put in a bad mood when I do the dishes every day? Do I want to be struggling with executive dysfunction because I hate dishes, and so it takes me forever to build up the motivation to do them, right? And so I started thinking, and I was like, well, okay, what would life look like if I was happy to do the dishes, right? Like the complete opposite. And so I thought, well, I would have to think in an opposite way that I do about the dishes, right? Instead of feeling like I have to do them, they're a hassle, they're a chore. I thought about, okay, what if I really was like grateful to do the dishes, right? And so I started thinking about, well, what could make me grateful to do the dishes? And I started thinking, and I was like, well, doing the dishes, it's representative of the fact that I have food. I have a place that I can eat and things that I can eat on. And I am really like truly grateful for that. I mean, even though we have struggled with food insecurity in the past, like I realized that I kind of was taking for granted now that I do have a full belly whenever I want one, and my son always is fed, and I can even feed my father now too. And so I started thinking more and more about how like really I am grateful that I can feed myself and the ones I love. We get to have dishes to clean. We're lucky to be able to have dishes in a house and a dishwasher and all this stuff that I really have just been taking for granted. And it's made me, I guess, almost like resent doing dishes. And I don't know, this mindset, like it's been so different, but now when I catch myself thinking about, oh my God, I have to do the dishes, I'm like, wait, stop. I get to do the dishes. I get to have food to feed my family. I get to have a place to clean and make sure that like we're eating off of hygienic, sanitized things. I mean, the dishwasher like heat sanitizes and everything. That's pretty freaking awesome, right? And like, I don't know. I had that mind shift, and also too, I'm in the interest of being honest and just like really giving people a clear picture of what healing can look like, not just that awesome, beautiful thing too. Before I was able to finish that really intense like thought process too, I also understood that I had to feel that childhood trauma around dishes, around chores in general, and like around not feeling good enough at it, feeling like even if I do my best, someone's going to be upset about it, even though that doesn't happen in my family anymore. Like, I'm around safe people. I live with non-abusive family members these days, and no one's going to yell at me for, doing the dishes wrong, even though there's not really a wrong way. As long as they're clean, it's not wrong. And, even too, I started thinking about the contrast of, like, I've broken a dish here, and my dad didn't yell at me. My dad didn't, go on some tirade about how I'm a piece of shit and I'm useless, like my mom used to do if I, God forbid, broke something doing dishes. My dad was just like, oh, make sure that, it's, like, thrown away, wrap it up in, like, some paper towels and stuff so it doesn't cut through the bag, and I'll take that trash bag out. And it just, I had to cry. I was there, I had a glass in my hand, and I just started sobbing, and I really felt all that pain, all that judgment that my mother had passed on to me. I really soaked and marinated for a good, like, 10 minutes in those feelings of, like, what if I'm not good enough? What if I don't do this right? And then also working through that, that realization that this was mental abuse that was done to me, that, like, started this chain reaction of basically me hating doing dishes, like, a lot, to the point where when I was in my first apartment on my own, this is so gross, but I didn't do my dishes. I didn't have a dishwasher, and my sink ended up being a disgusting science experiment of mold in my first apartment. And my dad came over and, like, helped me clean it and got me paper plates. And so I really had this moment at 31 years old doing dishes in my loving household with my wonderful family, and I just sobbed for all of the trauma that I had around something as simple and as everyday as doing the dishes. And I feel like the emotion coming back through, and I know but it's not as intense as when I felt it then, right? And so that's the thing too. I know I've been talking about how when we feel emotions, they go, and it's not always like that too. I want to point that out, that sometimes you have to feel it, like with the really heavy, like, long childhood trauma emotions, sometimes you really have to, like, give yourself 10-20 minutes even, just let it all out, feel it, sob, ugly cry, get that snot going everywhere, just fucking let it out. And that doesn't mean necessarily that one will just go away, because it's years of trauma, but the next time you are there, it's gonna, one, be easier for you to let that happen for yourself, because it's already happened before, and you start to normalize this, getting in touch with your deep, traumatic, painful emotions. And then also too, over time, well, I think just really anyone, eventually, if we cry enough about the same thing, eventually we get through it all. And so that's the thing too, like, when we are trying to process these lifelong trauma emotions, it may not be just like one session, but I do think each session is just as vital as the others. And they are all part of the bigger process of going through and feeling this emotion. Because I do think with abuse, childhood abuse especially, that you had to endure for maybe 18 years of your life, one cry session's not going to be enough to get it out. That is years of sometimes crying and sobbing and really just feeling those broken feelings. And then after we feel them, processing them, challenging them, and being like, oh, like, I felt it. It was real in that moment, but now I see that it's not a direct reflection of reality. And so I went through this whole sobbing about the pain I'd gone through around a chore that I have to do every day. And, well, my whole childhood trauma isn't gone. I will say a lot of the trauma I had around the chore of doing the dishes has faded, and then accepting, I was able to finish up that thought of changing my mindset to gratitude around the dishes. I am grateful that I have dishes to clean, to put away. I'm grateful I have a place to store them and a place to use them and stuff to put on them. Like, and so, it's not my immediate response yet. When I see the dishes, I still am like, oh, dishes sometimes, but I can now catch myself and I can redirect that thought. And now I will say, since doing that, dishes don't really suck that bad anymore. This is gonna probably sound silly, and like teenage me would be like cringing at this, but I caught myself saying thank you with each spoon I put away. And I know that sounds kind of like overly dramatic, but that was like the first time that I went through that whole process and really just like sat in the present moment of the gratitude, thinking about, wow, like, thank you. I have a spoon that my child can use to eat food with. I am so grateful because not everyone has that. And I think in these like first world countries like America, we really, really take the human experience for granted in what is normalized. It's normal to have spoons and forks and plates of all different sizes and bowls and cups and, like, but that's not a given. Everyone is not promised that in this world. There are people that don't have kitchens or stoves or plates or spoons or forks. And so really just like in that moment of healing, I just was thankful for each and every second of picking up a dish, drying it, putting it away, putting the spoons in the silverware drawer. And I wasn't annoyed. I wasn't frustrated. I didn't feel anything negative. I actually felt this like almost sense of bliss in that moment. And that sounds so dumb to be like, I had a moment of bliss and nirvana doing the dishes, but I really did. And like, it was gratitude. It was in the present moment, just really embracing feeling blessed. And I look forward to my journey with doing the dishes. And it made me realize too, this too is in a form karma yoga. And I know I haven't really talked on this YouTube channel about karma yoga yet. Maybe I'll do another video about that. But I did a presentation on it in college of like what karma yoga is. And in essence, this is just for the sake of this video, karma yoga is basically, how do I explain it? It is fulfilling the cycle of karma through our everyday actions, basically. So, doing the dishes, the laundry, this is our yoga of giving thanks for our karma, like putting in our good into the world, and all that. Like, there's this quote, I think it's from Remember Be Here Now by Ram Dass or something else by Ram Dass, but he's talking about, all this different spiritual enlightenment stuff and like the realization of the oneness of consciousness and humanity. And then he goes off and he says, we still chop the wood and carry the water though. And, that is karma yoga in a way where we are doing the basic things in life that sustain us and that need to be done. But all the while we are giving thanks to the universe. We are building good karma. This is kind of the trick of being the one who is suffering physically without emotionally suffering. And I know it seems a little melodramatic to call doing the dishes suffering, but it was. It was like a very mild form of suffering. But, I feel like there is a hell out there where you just do dishes all the time. But, like, this was my suffering. This was suffering for me to do the dishes. And now I have turned my suffering into non-suffering. It is a transformative process of taking my pain and redirecting it into gratitude. And I just really wanted to share this personal experience with anyone who wants to listen to it. If you're struggling with a chore, something simple, I'm going to do this with laundry too. It's going to be a long thought process and I'm probably going to have to ugly cry about it too. But like, this is a huge change in my life. My dishes need to be done like every day. So it happens daily. And now what was once a struggle daily is now an opportunity to feel blessed and blissful. And I'm grateful for that too. And so I really wanted to share this with someone who, if someone else could transform their life in this way too, just from hearing about how I did it, that would be fucking awesome. So yeah. And I definitely recommend too, if the brief way I described karma yoga intrigued you, I would look it up from probably better sources than me. I did one project in college on it, and so that was the cat's water fountain too, by the way, if y'all heard that. But so look into karma yoga too. It's to be balanced, I think, in spirituality, we have to also be present in the body. And so, yeah, there are all these cool cosmos and possibly deities and infinite things in the energetic field that we don't see. And there's an infinite world to figure out in terms of like energy and spirituality, right? But at the same time, too, we're here in our bodies with our minds. And this is what our souls have to experience the physical world. And so we have to be balancing those, you know? And yeah, but so I changed my life by changing the way I think about doing the dishes, by feeling all the subconscious and conscious trauma that I had surrounding doing the dishes, the fact that I saw them as a chore, as suffering, the fact that, you know, and then I would berate myself too, because I would put off dishes all day long because I don't want to do dishes. I hate dishes. I don't want to do dishes. And then it would take me 10 minutes once I finally do it. And then I would berate myself over, you're so stupid. Why didn't you just do the dishes? You're lazy, blah, blah, blah. And like, I have now removed a whole negative chain of emotions and self-degradation. And I've made it an experience that I look forward to. And I look forward to being able to do the dishes while my mind thinks about how grateful I am for food and for dishes to do. And yeah. So I hope everyone who watches this can get something out of it and really change your life to add like a moment of beauty, peace, and gratitude in there. Just take something that was frustrating you, something you hated, and make it something you love. Because we can create a life full of things we love, but we have to be willing to change the way we think about them. If we want a life we have never had, we have to do things we have never done. And so never before in my life had I thought about that I should find joy in doing the dishes, that I should feel grateful for it. But here I am now. And it's much better this way. Bye, guys.